sunsets and skies so blue. Mountains whisper stories of dreams so true. From oceans roaring wild to valleys deep, a heartbeat of a nation that will not sleep. Save South Africa, rise above the storm. Hands together strong, a new world is born. Beauty in our hearts, let it light the way. Evil cannot reign when we seize the day. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The soil holds our history, roots run so long. A melody of freedom, we're singing strong. They may curse the land with lies they weave, but we hold the truth in what we believe. Their crowns may crumble, their thrones may fall, for the power is the people's above it all. Save South Africa, rise above the storm. Hands together strong, a new world is born. Beauty in our hearts, let it light the way. Evil cannot reign when we seize the day. People sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The soil holds our history, roots run so long. A melody of freedom, we're singing strong. They may curse the land with lies they weave, but we hold the truth in what we believe. Their crowns may crumble, their thrones may fall, for the power is the people's above it all. We know it all.
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Sorry, folks. This is... What the hell? All right, this is an experiment that has gone awry. It's gone awry. Two things. Number one, Streamlabs is out of control. It's out of control. Number two, a lot of you behave very badly in the chat we're discovering. We don't usually see these things. People at long messages, too many emojis, put links in all the time. Vander loves a new banner. Dylan, quit posting links. Alan, quit refraining from spamming emojis. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. This is an experiment that's gone awry. I thought that it was going to allow me to put the chat on the screen. It was like a little bot that put it on the chat. No, it's run amok. It's going to get a PK. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I swear this is insane. I'm going to have to take away its moderator rights because it's out of control. It is out of Look at all the smiles got through. Oh, they got deleted by Streamlabs. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm coughing now. Oh my goodness. Obviously, this is an experiment that is not working, okay? So, not everything works, folks. Not everything works. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. This is what I have to say. They're getting a PK now, man. They're getting a PK. I'm serious. They're getting a PK. Streamlabs.
Go on by, say whatever. Hop to the left.
This is for you. This is for you, Streamlabs.
Eyes like fire, trolls start to quake. Mess with the bunny.
Big mistake.
Beggar off bunny, protector of peace. Jump into the chaos, never on a leash. Trolls come lurking, but they can't pretend. The bunny's here.
Streamlabs is my troll today.
Bugger off bunny, protector of peace. Jump into the chaos, never on a leash. Trolls come lurking, but they can't pretend. The bunny's here and it's the bitter end. Connell's right hand and ears standing tall. One thumb from the foot sends him through the wall. Carrots in the pocket, wisdom in his paw.
Bye, Streamlabs. You're no longer a moderator.
Trolls tried to climb, but the bunny's on top. Guarded the garden, defender of the land. The bugger off bunny with the master plan. Bugger off bunny. Through the chaos, never on a leash. Trolls come lurking, but they can't pretend. The bunny's here and it's the bitter end. Swift as a shadow, silent in the night.
Yeah, it's a cockbot.
Then they take flight. Ears like antennas, catching every sound. The bugger off bunny, king of the ground.
Bye-bye, Streamlabs moderator. Say goodbye, Streamlabs. The rise of AI. Now you know why I don't like AI. Streamlabs went bot crazy. Bot crap crazy. Okay, so I have an ultra subscription to Streamlabs, and I never take advantage of it. So I thought I'd take advantage of it last night when I was trying to delete emails. I thought I'd do something useful. I thought it was going to put up here on the screen over here, all the chat so people could see it on the screen, not just, to the right. No, it's just decided it was my moderator extraordinaire. Boom, PK. Bot crazy, man. It's gone. Hey, Paul, thank you. Wonder if Streamlabs would time me out for refrain from sending long messages. I typed a long message. Charles timed out Streamlabs. I removed it. Yes, the bot went rogue. This is Skynet, man. Now you know why I don't like AI. It goes rogue. It went rogue. It went rogue. That experiment didn't even last 10 minutes. Not even 10 minutes. Hano Cup, the bunny had the final say. Yes, the bunny had the final say. He's a moderator non gratis. Persona non grata is a moderator non grata. Yeah, he's gone. Streamlabs, smarten up. And how did that work for you, Dr. Phil? That's a great line. And how did that work for you? It didn't work very well at all. We'll call that an epic fail, okay? Skynet is self-aware. You were right about that, David Wilson. Streamlabs went, my bots went crazy. Oh, that's the song right there. The bots went crazy. Oh, my goodness. Oh, folks, I've been very busy for the past 12 hours. I even got a couple hours sleep in between there, but it's been a busy overnight and morning. Well, with Fikile Mbalula, something changed the settings on my speakers. I couldn't hear, kept downloading the video, there was no sound to it. I thought they blocked the sound. Only for me to figure out what the problem was. I fixed the problem, and then I actually had to listen to Fikile Mbalula, and I just wanted to pull my hair out. Oh, this guy is crazy. Look, make no mistake. What South Africa has done is intentional. What the ANC has done is intentional. They have intentionally scuppered diplomatic relations. They have intentionally antagonized the bear, but Trump hasn't fallen for it. And they keep trying to do more and more to get a reaction from Trump, but it isn't working. And rational people see what's going on. A lot of people don't. Rational people do. Took one look at your LOL and went, nah, gotta bring out the can of whoop-ass. Yeah, Arctic says, AI took one look at this crowd and he had to bring out a can of whoop-ass. Well, you're all putting links in. Now I know who's trying to put links in all the time. It doesn't work. If you're not a moderator or you're not a content creator, YouTube does not allow you to post hyperlinks. It doesn't do that. That's to prevent people from crypto and all the scams and things from happening. So a bunch of you, I've discovered, keep trying to put links in there. I guess when the first you don't succeed, you try again. And that didn't work, you try again. And that didn't work, you try again. Stop putting links in the chat. We don't see it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Katie Mumblehead here. It's Mumbles from Dick Tracy. Dustin Hoffman played that character, Mumbles. Hasta la vista. Yes, they got a PK. Streamlabs is gone. That was an experiment that just didn't go well. Well, I'll admit when we make mistakes here at Indaba Africa, that was a mistake. SpongeBob. Hendo doesn't need any competition. Oh my goodness! Send Streamlabs. I'll tell you what. Last night, Google 7 or whatever his name is would have been sent packing pretty quickly by Streamlabs. Megan Bush Shun, welcome to you. Streamlabs was Rasul. He was persona non grata. He was MN grata, moderator non grata. No radiation leak. Leak. There is a radiation leak. How long did you listen to Fikile? 1 minute. Oh, it wasn't even that long. My IQ just started shrinking. I actually had a conversation with somebody in South Africa about talking to someone in South Africa about some things going on down there, and I was getting dumber. Not because the person I was talking to, I couldn't remember what I wanted to say because I'd had that oh my goodness. Fikile Mbalula in my mind. 783 people here right now, folks. Be sure to hit that like button. Only 338 of you done it. What's the problem? Get on the shtick, man. Get on the shtick, or we'll start playing some Sydney's Jeans for you. Right. We've got news to talk about and an awful lot of it. So welcome to all the Neanderthals. Now, how come that wasn't considered racist and hate speech when it was directed towards white folks, or the fact that white women are genetically inferior, according to a certain person who said that? Why was that not seriously taken? But they're worried about Kenny Kanene calling Julius Malema a cockroach. Wow. Talk about intellectual emptiness of the South African Human Rights Commission. They have no intellectual ability. It is time for the news. Relax, Ian. Relax. 3:34. It's 4:07 now. It changes. It doesn't always update your screen. All right. Okay. So apparently, Ramaphosa and Trump had a telephone call, according to Amanda Koza. Somehow she has the inside track on this. I guess someone in Vincent Mangweni's office gives her the scoop on everything. All right. Vincent Mangweni will never give me the scoop because I don't have nice things to say about him. Yep. I never said bad things about him until I caught him lying over and over again. Now I just tell the truth. Yep. Before I didn't know that was the truth. Trump discussed bilateral trade amid ongoing global tariff impositions. President Ramaphosa and his counterpart spoke on the phone yesterday about bilateral trade matters. Minister in the Presidency, Kumbudzu Nchiveni, said the cabinet focused on affecting industries. Ongoing trade tariff impositions, Ramaphosa and telephone Trump on Wednesday morning. President Ramaphosa and President Trump discussed bilateral trade matters and emphasized their commitment to continued dialogue. Both leaders acknowledged the complexity of ongoing trade negotiations involving the United States and expressed further readiness to further collaborative engagements. Detailed discussions will be advanced by the respective trade negotiation teams. What trade negotiation team? Who's on the trade negotiation team? Parks Tao? Rodney Lamola? Kabisi Jonas? Ibrahim Asul? Who's on that trade team? Francois Smith just subscribed. Thank you for that. Who's on this trade team? Interesting. Nchiveni asked that the cabinet affirm the government's commitment to finding constructive and sustainable solutions through continued engagement with the U.S., including at the presidential level. Yeah, this to me is a nothing. It's a nothing burger. There's nothing there. Probably Trump just being polite. Jack Aranda said so. What are you talking about, Lee Hendrickson? What did Jack Aranda say? X account of the U.S. Embassy mentioned the call. Okay, that's good. I see on the news here in South Africa that Sarah Post talking to Trump. Is it true? Well, I mean, people are saying it happened. People are saying it happened. Daily difference between Southern government and U.S. government. Southern government is quickly dropping daily as economy is growing daily. Yep. Ooh, it was on the Colonel on the phone with Ramaphosa. Alan says I'm allowed to make mistakes, but that Streamlabs thing was a big one. But I mean, do you honestly think anything substantive came out of this? I doubt, especially after, this racism-tinged garbage spewed out of the mouth of Fikile and Mbalula yesterday. We won't back down. Defiant. Well, good for you, buddy. He warned the ANC would not abandon its transformation agenda, including broad-based black economic empowerment, despite pressure from Washington and its political allies. There's no pressure from Washington. What are these people? You want to see pressure? You want to see pressure, Fikile? Yeah, you don't know what pressure is. You don't know what pressure is. You're not getting pressure from the U.S. That's nonsense. The only pressure you're getting from the U.S. is the fictional pressure you've made up. The U.S. has made its position clear, and that's it. The tariffs have nothing to do with BEE, so stop trying to take the tariffs and equate them with BEE. You want to fix the tariffs? Then first off, get a trade negotiation, get a trade team in Washington talking to our people. That's number one. Number two, come there with a promise to address the 4 preconditions that were given to your government as a starter. Then negotiations can commence. Once you've done that, which you're never going to do, then you can remove the tariffs on our goods. Then you can remove the quotas on our automobile exports to South Africa. Then you can stop the illegitimate blocking of our pork products from coming there. And then we can have a legitimate conversation. If you want tariffs to come down, then you must stop your protectionism and your bigotry and bias against the U.S. export market. That's what you must do. And stop conflating tariffs with BE. They have nothing to do. One has nothing to do with the other. The tariffs are related to your trade policies, not your racist policies. Make the distinction. Apparently, some of these members of the ANC are so deeply instilled with racism, they can't distinguish between their racist policies and their protectionist policies. They're 2 separate things altogether, Fikile. Racist policies, discriminating against racial minorities, 145 laws, plus other policies that racially discriminate against minorities. It's worse than the National Party under apartheid. And then over here you have protectionist policies, which keep your market protected from our quality goods and services, while we give you duty-free access. And you have the temerity, the audacity, the cheek to actually say, well, they're just trying to change our policy. No, we're not. No, we're not. You made your bed, lie in it. And by the way, there are fleas in that straw, so if you're scratching, now you know why. There are fleas in the straw you're lying down in. Well, here's a story on the Daily Maverick, and I mentioned, did you guys see this story? Yeah. The Daily Maverick's Rebecca Davies does another story. I don't want to savage her, but I'm going to have to bite my tongue not to savage her journalism here. 3 months later, Trump's Afrikaner refugees knuckle down to hard reality in the U.S. Number one, refugees continues to be in quotes, diminishing the term as if it's not real. Rebecca Davis and the Daily Maverick. Each time that you fraudulent media types put quotes around the word refugee and diminish the reality of it, you insult the millions of people seeking refugee status around the world. And it's clearly a dog whistle racist effort on your part, because you're convinced that these refugees are exclusively white, which they're not, because you're lazy. Stop using quotes for refugees. They are refugees. They're legal refugees. They have come here under our refugee law. If you don't like our law, then piss off. Then futsek. But stop being fake media. Start reporting the truth. All right, so Google R just cannot follow directions. Okay, Google R, you didn't say... all right, I told you were going to be gone yesterday, so now this is your last warning. You're getting a 30-minute timeout, and then the next time I'll just delete you, okay? I'm being incredibly generous. You were being an ass last night. You're being an ass now. I told you not to use all caps. So there you go. So see, some people are just stupid and they can't follow basic rules. So you've gotten a timeout. Google R is gone. I took care of it. Yep. 30 minutes. Anyway, back to the story. So back to the story here. 3 months after the first group of Afrikaner refugees left the U.S., many have gone to ground. A handful are speaking openly about their new lives. In the U.S., I had to face this painful truth. I don't know where I fit in anymore. Can I work for someone else? Will I ever feel capable again in this new place? This anonymous comment from one of the Afrikaner refugees, again using quotes, in the U.S. was shared by the Amerikaners 2025 X account, the closest thing to an official mouthpiece for the group, on August 4th. Amerikaners is not an official organ of the refugee resettlement program. Amerikaners does not represent South Africans who are refugees. There are many people, aspiring refugees, who are participating in Amerikaners, and they're providing lots of useful information for helping people adjust to life in America. They are not an official organ for this program, and nor are they a mouthpiece. They are simply an information outlet that is proclaiming to try to help people, and there you go. So that's number one, first problem with the story. And it's an anonymous account, and that's what she leads the story with, to create and paint the picture that people are struggling in America, which nothing could be further from the truth. The account has repeatedly advised Afrikaners brought over at least two groups on May 11th and May 31st to avoid sharing much of their lives due to media interest, hence the anonymity of the post. The author, identified only as a mother of 5 in her late 50s, emphasis on very rights that she came to the U.S. with qualifications including courses in psychology, English, geography, and trained computer assistant design and drafting, and surveyor draughtsmanship. Sounds like somebody that can't stick with what. Okay, courses. You've had a course. That doesn't make you a qualified draftsman. Having a course online or at a school, one course does not make you a CAD expert. Having courses. I have courses on all these things. It doesn't mean I'm an expert in it. I went to university. I have a degree. Big whoop. I have a liberal arts degree. It means I study these things. This is just ridiculous. Right, Peter O. Daily Maverick quotes anonymous person, whereas I interview real people. It gets worse, Peter. Okay. In South Africa, she had owned businesses in sales, publishing, estate sales, revived an arts festival, designed logos and ads, trained marketeers, did admin, managed charity projects, and more. In the U.S., she described getting rejected for entry-level hotel jobs for being overqualified. Yeah, well, it happens. It happens. I was rejected for a job for being overqualified. Yeah, I am overqualified. There's only a few things that the jobs that suit my skills. Bet Haynes, thank you for the 14 Rand super sticker. She writes, however, that she's been hired by a care agency to care for a few select seniors while also being shortlisted for an interview with a business consulting agency. So she builds up this entire negative picture. Then she comes down and the lady says she's got an interview with a business consultant business and she's already got a job. So where's the hardship there? She took some college courses, and that makes her an expert? No. Much speculation about lives of refugees, again in quotes. A great deal of speculation and lashings of schadenfreude from some quarters has been attached to how the lives of the Afrikaner refugees are playing out stateside since Trump made his controversial decision to prioritize them for resettlement in the U.S., while official channels seem to have gone entirely silent on the topic. In the absence of much formal communication, a whole community has sprung up online with would-be refugees often attaching MAGA or American flags to their ex-bios in their apparent belief that this could aid their chances, swapping information about what to expect from the process. Well, okay, first off, that's an assumption on her part. Did anyone tell her that they put the MAGA comment or U.S. flag on their ex account because they thought it would help them get to the U.S.? Has anyone said that? I've not met a single person said that. That may be the case for somebody, but most of these people are just enthusiastic about coming to America and becoming Americans as opposed to being second-class and third-class slaves in South Africa. Yeah, slaves to a corrupt system. So that's just speculation on her part. Several online figures have emerged as beacons, some of whom are Afrikaners based in the U.S., who are happy to offer advice. One is Sonel van Niekerk, a biblical content creator based in North Dakota, who gives candid warnings to would-be refugees about the challenges of the uprooting, such as the constant missing of your friends and family that you need to live with. Says van Niekerk in one recent video, it's almost like there's a limb of your body that's missing. You go through a stage of grief, you get angry, you get depressed, you get sad. Van Niekerk also warned followers that upon arriving in the U.S., she had to work 3 jobs to survive, one of which was cleaning houses. She advises that the support of a church is indispensable. That's all fair. That's absolutely fair. I mean, I don't disagree with what this lady said. I caution people in the very beginning, relocating to another country and leaving what you know is a huge thing. Part of you will not be there, but you build a new life. Millions of people, probably a billion people have done it throughout modern history. The United States is full of people who left everything behind, never returned home. There was no telephone. There was no mobile. There was no Sorry, I just had a military aircraft fly incredibly low over my house. Yeah. So I was a C-130. So, and I know because I know what they sound like. Now jets are flying over. I just had a jet aircraft at less than 1,200 feet. Arctic, are you here? That aircraft was at less than 1,200 feet. Wow, that was low. I don't know what that was. Yep, that was crazy. You shouldn't be able to hear that. That was crazy. Wow. Anyway, yeah, so the point is that it's normal. And I warned people from the very beginning. It's a huge decision. especially if you come as a refugee, because you can't simply go back. You're not allowed to go back unless it's approved and it's for an unusual circumstance. Why would you go back to a country that you're not safe in? So no problem with that. Okay. Another online guide has emerged as fellow expat Andrea Shea, who recently published a guide to help you build your refugee case, covering how to present a well-founded fear of future persecution using both personal experiences and objective evidence. Now, that's factually incorrect. Andrea Shea is not an expat. Andrea Shea is an American citizen. Andrea Shea was an expat, and she's married to an Air Force officer, and she's now an American citizen. I've interviewed Andrea Shea on the program. So that's factually incorrect. There's a problem. That's misuse of the term expat. An expat is a foreign national living in another country who is still a national of the other country. So like when I lived in Uganda, I was an expat, an American expat, along with the South Africans who were based there. They're expats. She is not an expat. She is an American citizen. That's factually incorrect. However, the towering figure in this community is Chris Wyatt, a former U.S. military YouTuber. I'm sorry. There is no such thing as a YouTuber in the military. The military doesn't have YouTubers. I'm not a former U.S. military YouTuber. No. Okay, Rebecca Davis, we've covered this. I don't know why you're so lazy. I'm not difficult to reach. You can reach out to me. I am not a former U.S. military YouTuber. Such things don't exist. And I'm also not former military. Okay, I'm not former military. I'm a retired U.S. Army colonel. Retired U.S. Army colonel. That's not former military. I'm on a list of officers on the retired list subject to recall and can be recalled at any time and was nearly recalled 2 years ago. I wish I had been recalled just so I could, rub this in people's faces. So that's what I am. I also do YouTube content. I'm also a published author. I'm a contributor to Daily Friend. I'm a source for multiple news media outlets. I participate with many media organizations, and we'll go into those some other time. A university lecturer, an intelligence analyst, a counterintelligence officer, a signals intelligence officer, a businessman, a linguist. The list goes on and on. Not a former U.S., but a towering figure in this community. Am I a towering figure in this community? Am I a towering figure? Let's do a poll. Let's do a poll. Okay, start a poll. Because this is funny for me. All right, here we go. All right, there's a poll. You feel free to answer it there, folks. 1,039. So a towering figure in this community. I didn't realize I was a towering figure. Maybe that's why Shelly's got penis envy. She's attacking me. All right, so Wyatt has, in the last 2 months, posted video interviews. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I didn't finish that. A U.S. military YouTuber whose following has almost doubled over the last few months as his content has increasingly focused on offering advice on would-be Afrikaner refugees. That is a partially true statement. My viewers, my community has centupled. It's 5 times, almost 6 times as large as it was in December. So the number of subscribers to my channel has grown by nearly 6 times what I had. So that's not a doubling. Over the past few months, it hasn't doubled. It doubled from, January to February, February to March, March to April, and May. And since then, it's just I've gone from 83,000 to 110,000 since May. It hasn't really doubled. I mean, if I doubled, I have 170,000 now. That'd be nice. I haven't doubled in the past few months. My content is increasingly focused on offering advice. Actually, that's not true. My content has shifted, and I've offered less, I've offered less analysis on this in the past few months. If you look at the percentage, the overwhelming percentage of my content, it's on politics and economics. That's where the overwhelming content is. And I've reduced allowing people to talk about refugees to once a week, primarily on the Refugee Cafe Clutch on Sundays, which Shelley likes to troll and then steal my content and make slanderous videos about me. So, yeah. So, anyway, continue on with this story. Farmer sent to North New York, flees to South Dakota. Flees. He fled. What the hell is that? Charles Kleinhaus did not flee. Charles Kleinhaus was sent to a major metropolitan area that has crappy weather. And he decided that he wanted to farm. He was offered a job. See, This is the upward mobility of America. We got two instances here of people who were in agriculture who were offered opportunities to make a good living elsewhere. And it's America. They picked up and moved. That's not fleeing. That's moving for opportunity. But this is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. He flees. Give me a break. Kleinhaus told Wyatt in late July that the refugee program sent him to Buffalo, somewhat to his horror. I thought I'd go to Texas, Montana, somewhere like that where there's farming, but it didn't happen like that. So where's the horror? As a result, he chose to leave the assistance program after 8 days and made his own way, having made contact with a farmer in South Dakota. So how is that fleeing? That sounds like a smart guy. Farmer bought a plane ticket for him and his family in a fully furnished house. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Because the original group of refugees is spread across the vast country, there seems to be little contact with them. Kleinhaus told Wyatt that the 59ers, as the original group calls themselves, have a WhatsApp group but don't chat much anymore. Well, I'm going to take credit for naming them the 59ers. I did that from the outset. Now, maybe they call themselves that, but it was unknown to me. But I publicly started calling them the 59ers. And the reason I did the 59ers is because we have a football team in the National Football League called the 49ers. Because in 1849, the gold rush started at Sutter's Mill in California. So the 49ers. So when I heard there were 59, when I did the interview with Thea, immediately afterwards, then I said 59ers. And I don't know if they picked that up from me or if they came up with their own, but I've been calling them that. So I will take credit for that. Anyway, Alabama refugee had 3 jobs. In late June, Wyatt interviewed another 59er, Earl Langton, whose family group accounted for 9 of the original 59, whose stepdaughter back home in South Africa has accused him of rank opportunism, including not being an Afrikaner. Well, his stepdaughter's got some serious issues, but that's another issue. He now calls Alabama home, which he says he requested. He told Wyatt that he had a gig selling life insurance, which kept him busy driving all the state, but he didn't make any money yet because it's on commission, so he had to sell stuff. Langton said he was interviewing for another job and starting a third job. You're not given a job, you're not given anything. This is the last month we have on accommodation. In a subsequent interview with Wyatt in July, Langton said he had secured a job at a car wash. Now, notice how she said car wash. He is the manager of the car wash operation. What she said is factually correct, but what she leaves out is the disingenuous part. I can't restore them, CB. I can't restore them. Once you put them in timeout, they're in a timeout. Anyway. Same account is posted. We're working, staying on a farm at the moment. Okay, what's this? It jumped ahead. Oh, that's an Afrikaner POV. The account also informed one would-be refugee that it's possible to return to visit South Africa. Your caseworker will discuss with you as well as when you like the initial rundown after you arrive. You will just need to apply for a travel document. You will need to inform them why you want to go back. However, she strongly advised against this. Why would you want to visit a country you fled for your safety? But I know for some people it's to make or break subject. Definitely not be going back for any reason whatsoever. Okay. Despite the working cultural challenge in their lives, all the accounts mentioned have stressed the transformative nature of the feeling of safety in the U.S. More important than anything money can buy, posted the 50-something woman. Peace, safety, walking freely without fear. That's priceless. So why does this story have a title called The Hard Knuckle Down? What is this? What is this? The hard reality. There's no hard reality. These people are safe. They're prospering. Hano says that so Jonas was denied a visa to the U.S. is now saying to white South Africans that they need to shut up or we will make you plan to take freedom speech away. That's not what was said. No, that's not what was said, Hano. That's not what was said. What Nkabisi Jonas said was incorrect. It was borderline racist, and it was definitely condescending and arrogant, but he didn't say that. He didn't say that. That's what Willem Petzer's analysis is, and I'm not disputing his analysis, but I'm saying that he did not say that. Let's stick to the facts. The facts are damaging enough and damning enough with the ANC. Colin DeBrun says, I agree. Less on refugees and more on international news. You can only advise so much on a process that needs to be followed. That is why I still follow you even when in the USA. Well, thank you, Con. The other piece of this, thank you for the 70 Rand. The reason I'm mentioning it here is because it's an article. By the way, that article, according to the article itself, not one of those people was interviewed. Earl Langton, Charles Kleinhaus, the anonymous X account, me. Nobody was interviewed for this article. This is all information pulled from social media and typed up and put into a news report. That's not news to me. That's what kids in high school do. You rise above pitiful, loudmouth, nincompoop, hateful, pea-brain fools, Chris. You stand out in all this darkness and treat us as human beings, not as trash to be discarded. Thank you, Ingrid. That's very kind of you. Very kind of you. All right. So, Ronnie Lamola discusses issues of mutual interest with U.S. Senior Advisor Boulos. Now, a lot of fanfare was made about this, that they were talking, but they didn't talk about South Africa. They talked about SADC. Minister of International Relations Cooperation Ronald Lamola has held a telephone call with U.S. President Donald Trump's senior advisor Masad Boulos to discuss issues of mutual interest. This morning, I had a productive call with South African Foreign Minister Lamola. I engaged on issues of mutual interest and highlight the significant role SADC has played in promoting stability in Eastern DRC. Lamola thanked Boulos for the conversation. Yes, so the conversation was about the DRC because the U.S. is interested in peace there because we played a role in brokering a ceasefire and a peace agreement, but not about South Africa. So don't get excited that Ronnie Lamola is talking to the U.S. about South African relations. He's not. He's talking about that issue. So Fikile Mbalula denies that the ANC has taken money from Iran, and now he's an expert on the CIA. Could somebody please call Scott Balson? Can you please call Scott Balson? We've identified the CIA agent, the actual CIA agent. It's Fikile Mbalula. Yeah. He says, we didn't get money from Iran. The United States imposed sanctions on Iran. We are not trading with Iran, even if they have oil. Even the CIA regards itself as the best intelligence outfit. It can tell you it's not true the ANC got money from Iran. We didn't get any money from Iran. So apparently, either he works for the CIA or he's in close liaison with the CIA, Fikile Mbalula. Somebody please contact the folks down under. Let them know we've identified the CIA agent. It's Fikile Mbalula. It's time for the bugger off buddy, man. Afrikaner refugees are car guards and murderers, says Fikile in his racist-tinged rant. AfriForum is upset about this. Civil rights organization strongly condemns the racist outburst against white South Africans by Fikile Mbalula, Secretary General of the ANC, during a media briefing conference at Lutuli House on the outcomes of the ANC's recent NEC. Mbalula lashed out at white South Africans and Afrikaner refugees to the U.S. During the event, he attacked and smeared the white refugees to the U.S. as car guards and murderers. AfriForum labels this outburst as unacceptable and considers Mbalula's stereotyping of white South Africans as bloodthirsty murderers who target each other and black South Africans to be blatant racism. Well, I would not disagree with that. Ernst says Mbalula's racist outburst against white South Africans exposes the hatred that he and many of his ANC comrades clearly have for the white citizens of South Africa. It is shameful to blame victims of his government's discrimination for the ANC's diplomatic and domestic failures. 100% Ernst Von Sale, the conscious Carrickle, weighing in on that for AfriForum. Well, folks, the floods in the Eastern Cape were devastating. Lots of lives, over 100 lives are lost last time I saw the count. And so who came to the rescue? 20 years ago, there were massive floods in Mozambique, and the South African National Defense Force was able to send a couple of helicopters to help rescue people. But the South African National Defense Force couldn't be bothered to send a helicopter to rescue any South Africans in the flooding that took place in KZN a couple years ago, and now in the Eastern Cape. Now, and why is that? Because Minister 30% runs the ministry. Defense delays, fiscal inertia, and fragmented disaster coordination coverage in Eastern Cape. Only one helicopter was sent to the Eastern Cape a week after the floods. Defense Minister 30% Masheka has confirmed only one Oryx helicopter was deployed to assist after the floods in the Eastern Cape, arriving a week later after the event, which cost 103 lives. The delay, vaguely described as resulting from technical challenge, reflects a breakdown in the Air Force's operational capability and exposes structural deficiencies in the state's disaster management network. Well, Masheka made the mission in answer to a question from DA MP Peter Atkinson. One helicopter a week after it. Protesters in Cape Town early this morning started torching tires on the R300. No one knows why. Still hasn't been reported. Nicole McCain reports on this. Protesters caused widespread traffic disruptions in Cape Town early Thursday morning by burning tires to close off sections of the R300 Mitchell's Plain. Traffic was diverted due to a protest action between Jake's Gerwal and AZ Berman Drives. Approximately 100 criminals were on the street burning tires, and there they are. The R300 was closed in both directions at Jake's Gerwal Drive. The South African Human Rights Commission has realized it has a job to do, investigating the so-called colored people incestuous and crazy nonsense that took place in the Open Chats podcast. Things are not going very well for Open Chats podcast. They burst on the scene with lots of fanfare, sitting around a cafe clutch and just having a good time joking and bullshitting. Well, their racist insults against colored South Africans is striking a chord, and people are paying attention to it now. South African Human Rights Commission says that it's been inundated with complaints about comments in an episode that described colored people as incestuous, crazy people who sleep with their siblings. The episode of the Open Chats podcast, hosted by Mtokosisi Sonwabile Lefa Halile and Busisiwe Radebe, sparked outrage when a video clip was widely circulated on social media. The clip has since been deleted. Yeah. Werner Durant, 140 Rand super sticker. Thank you for that. Race. Quit. Huh? Don't know what that means. Our client, following up, blah, blah, blah. Hang on a second here. The statements have caused such much outrage and offense not only to the colored community, but to all South Africans, irrespective of race, color, or creed. Our clients hereby deeply apologize for the pain and hurt that they have caused to the colored community. Well, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Patriotic Alliance leader Gate McKenzie said, he's instituted legal action against the hosts. We want to make an example of them. It's racism. We will never allow people to become this comfortable. If we have to say that about other races, it will be every front page. Well, Gate McKenzie, I appreciate what you say, protecting the dignity of colored South Africans. Could you also file a lawsuit against Julius Malema for singing Kill the Boer? Can you also file a lawsuit against Nobs Mkhize for her insults against colored South Africans? Where is your outrage in these other cases? This selective outrage by Gate McKenzie, because he's jumping on the bandwagon, like many politicians do. Well, speaking of jumping on the bandwagon, DSTV apparently had to deal with these guys, and they've canceled it. DSTV drops Open Chats podcast after comments about colored community. The Open Chats podcast has been dropped by DSTV amid a wave of backlash against derogatory remarks made about the colored community in a recent episode. The comments sparked outrage on social media and drew the attention of Gate McKenzie, who came out strongly against the podcast and its host. McKenzie lambasted the podcast for offensive, discriminatory statements, calling for accountability and respect for marginalized communities. Well, how about some concerns about the marginalized Indian and white communities, too? Well, South Africa is facing 30%, and today's the day that gets collected. Everything's 30% more expensive today, unless the producers ate the cost. Trump celebrates billions from tariffs. Higher U.S. tariffs come into effect with dozens of economies today, basically raising the stakes in President Trump's wide-ranging efforts to reshape global trade. There you go. And that's the case. South Africa now 30%. Well, people fixing streetlights in Orlando were attacked and robbed. You can't even fix the city infrastructure. City power contractors repairing streetlights in Orlando and Soweto were forced to abandon the work and flee for their lives after being attacked and robbed. The scared workers left the company vehicle and valuables behind as they fled. According to spokesperson Isaac Mangena, 4 suspects approached the workers in what seemed to be a coordinated attack while they were working in the Kumalo Street at 3 p.m. Broad daylight. The suspects made off with the workers' personal belongings left inside the van, including bags and other valuables. If these attacks continue, City Power may be left with no choice but to suspend service in high-risk areas. The safety of our employees is non-negotiable. 100%. I have a better idea. Bring armed security inside the vehicle and then just, take care of those thugs when they try to break in. Just an idea. South Africa is moving to ban microplastics, microbeads that are put into cosmetics and other things because of what they do to ocean pollution, with a threat of 20 years in jail. Seriously? South African government announced draft regulations to outlaw plastic microbeads. The move aims to tackle marine pollution caused by these microplastics found in cosmetics and pesticides. Offenders could face up to 10 million rand fines or 20 years imprisonment. So if you murder a farmer, you get a 25-year life sentence, which is reduced to 7 years, and you get out. But if you use lip balm with plastic microbeads, you'll go to jail for 20 years. These people have their priorities messed up. Well, the South African National Defense Forces warned its members not to be putting social media things in uniform. This is long overdue. This is an admonition that needs to be pushed out by the U.S. military because we have people who are posting politically active videos in uniform. You shouldn't be posting anything in uniform, anything, unless it's an official event. South African National Defense Forces warned members against posting explicit or inappropriate content on social media while wearing military uniform. They shouldn't be posting anything. and they should all be sanctioned and punished. That's ill discipline. Your job is not to abuse your uniform by putting porn online or abuse your uniform by exposing your political views to the public. That's not your role. Your role is to defend the nation, whether you're an American or a South African, and these soldiers should be punished for it. Well, it's not all bad news, folks. Cape Town's hotel market seems to be bearing up well. Cape Town's international tourist tally is charting new territory, lifting key performance indicators across the city's hospitality sector to record highs. Revenue per available room climbed 21% year on year for the 6 months to June. Visitors to Cape Town now pay an average of 3,000 Rand a night for a hotel room. The first time it's went over 3,000. That's up 15.8% from a year ago. Wow. And double what the pre-COVID rate was 1,600 Rand. Yeah, that's way too much. Occupancy rates in the city are also testing new highs. They came in 68% in the first half of 2025, up 4%. The recovery in Cape Town's hotel and hospitality sector differs markedly from the rest of the country, where hotel revenues have not recovered. The rest of the country is suffering immensely, but Cape Town is doing quite well from the tourism standpoint for hotel occupancy. Tatra is coming, or Tata, not Tatra, Tatra of the mountains in the Czech or in the Slovak Republic. Tata, the Indian car manufacturer, is coming back to South Africa. Upmarket lineup. Yeah. Returning South African passenger vehicle market after a 6-year break, and the products on offer may surprise you. During his previous 15-year stint in the local market, they primarily sold variations of their Indica hatchback. But here's the Tata Tiago, tiny little get-around car. So Indian cars are coming back to South Africa. 1.2-liter 3-cylinder petrol engine. That's tiny. The Tata Punch. 1.2-liter petrol engine. The Tata Curve. That's an SUV. 1.2-liter. They love this. Turbo petrol engine. They love these 1.2-liter engines. The Tata Harrier. That better have a bigger engine, man. 2.0 liter. I have a 4.7-liter engine. That's 2.0 liter. Yep, so Tata is coming back to the South African market, so you don't have to buy that Chinese crap. You can buy Indian stuff. Turning our attention to Namibia, Namibia is going the same direction of communism that South Africa is, and Zimbabwe's already went, demanding that local ownership of ventures be the case. Local ownership push, government eyes 51% stake in all new mining ventures. So the government, that's not local ownership. I'm sorry. It's not local ownership when the government owns it. That's not local ownership. That's state ownership. Local ownership would be people who live in the country owning it. That's the difference. The government is actively consulting with mining industry players to push for 51% ownership in new mining ventures. Currently, there's no provision in the law for the government to acquire shares in mineral rights apart from mineral agreements. The state owns roughly 3.4%, 7.5%, and 10% of shares in various mining companies. The only 50-50 shareholding currently in existence is between De Beers and Namibia Namdeb. So now they want to steal your investment, your capital investment in Namibia if you want to open a mine. Well, stay away from Namibia. Cameroon, their judicial body backs the barring of opposition presidential candidate. Wow. The Biya family will do anything to hold on to their family dynasty. Constitutional Council upholds the decision to reject candidacy of Maurice Kamto, the main rival to Biya. Cameroon's Constitutional Court on Tuesday upheld a decision to reject the candidacy of Maurice Kamto. The Electoral Commission in July excluded him from the list of candidates approved to contest the vote. It said Kamto was barred because he was running under the banner of the Manadem Party, which also supported a second candidate. Oh boy, the main candidate now is out, so of course Biya will win the election. Nigeria issues a flood alert for over half of its 36 states. My goodness, Nigeria's weather agency warns of flooding in 21 states due to heavy rains. Forecasters on Wednesday warned that parts of the 21 of the country's 36 states would likely experience flooding in the coming days due to heavy rains. Gots to be careful there in Nigeria, folks. Got to be careful. 2 Ghanaian ministers killed amongst the 8 in a helicopter crash. Ghana's Defense Minister Edward Omane Boma died in a military helicopter crash on Wednesday, along with 4 other officials and 3 Air Force crew. Julius Deborah, President John Mahama's chief of staff, told a press conference that the crash in which Boma, Environment, Science and Technology Minister Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, and others were killed was a national tragedy. Authorities did not immediately give an explanation for what might have caused the crash. Wow. So that's a tragedy. That's unfortunate. Sorry to hear that. Sad news. Sad news. Egypt has signed a $35 billion natural gas deal with Israel. Yeah. Israel's Leviathan Natural Gas has signed a deal worth up to $35 billion to supply gas to Egypt, the largest export deal in Israel's history. Wow. So the Egyptians are working with the Israelis. Leviathan off Israel's Mediterranean coast with reserves of 600 billion cubic meters will sell 130 billion cubic meters of gas to Egypt through 2040 or until all the contract quantities are fulfilled. Leviathan has already supplied 23 billion cubic meters of gas to Egypt since 2020. So Egypt is getting its natural gas from Israel. Well, now that we're, since 7 October 2023, approaching 2 years since the terrorist murdered 1,200 citizens of the world at a music fest in southern Israel, only now are national sovereign wealth funds looking at where their investments go because they're getting under pressure, not because they care. Are sovereign wealth funds dumping Israeli investments? The world's largest fund will review its investment in Israeli companies amid Israel's growing diplomatic isolation. The Norwegian government Tuesday said it would review its sovereign wealth fund's investment in Israel after Scandinavian country's leading newspaper revealed that nearly $2 trillion fund had a stake in an Israeli company that aided Israel's war. The newspaper, Aftenposten, identified the company as Bet Shemesh Engines, which provides parts to Israeli fighter jets and are being deployed in the devastating war in Gaza. In recent weeks, Israeli-induced starvation deaths. Okay, we're going to skip that nonsense because that's propaganda there. Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre said the investment in Israel was worrying. We must get clarification on this. So the National Sovereign Wealth Fund invests where returns will be given to the country, $2 trillion. South Africa has no sovereign wealth fund. Despite Cyril Ramaphosa promising there would be one, there is no sovereign wealth fund. There is none. There's no money. They've stolen it all. They've squandered it all. So Norway has $2 trillion sitting in that account, and they're going to divest from Israel because they got caught, not because they care. Lebanese army is preparing to disarm Hezbollah. Good luck with that, boys. Have fun storming the castle. That's not going to go well. Lebanese government on August 5th authorized its army to draw up a plan to restrict weapons across the country to 6 official security agencies by year's end, a move that would effectively dismantle Hezbollah. That won't dismantle them, but making it illegal to have weapons. You have to take them from them, you idiots. The cabinet decided today to task the Lebanese army with deploying a plan to contain all weapons before the end of the year and present it to the cabinet. Yeah, you may have a plan, but that doesn't disarm them. This people are just silly beyond belief. North Korean has fled from North Korea in a strange manner. Wrapped in plastic foam, he floats to freedom in the south. The unidentified man avoided getting shot by North Korean guards who have orders to stop anyone trying to leave. A North Korean man defected to South Korea after he swam down the coast and evaded armed border guards with orders to shoot anyone fleeing. He was detected late on the evening of July 30th. They made the Korean officials just made the defection public today. He used tied-on plastic foam for buoyancy and swam down the Korean peninsula's west coast. After a journey of 10 hours, the man who reportedly waved his hands and declared his intention to defect was retrieved 1.6 miles south of North Korean soil. There you go. Well, good on him. He escaped. I hope he doesn't have any family back there because they're already been executed if they did. Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin are going to meet in the coming days, according to the Kremlin. U.S. President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin are preparing to meet in the coming days. Kremlin advisor Yuri Ushakov said Thursday the Trump-Putin meeting could happen as early as next week. A location has been chosen, and it will be revealed at a later stage. Could it be Iceland? Wouldn't that be cool? Well, the world's longest suspension bridge will link Sicily to mainland Italy. And how are they going to build it? They're going to meet their NATO requirements by building a bridge to an island that's part of their contiguous territory and claiming its defense expenditure. The 2-mile bridge over the Strait of Messina will cost an estimated $15.6 billion and will be completed in the early 2030s. Italy's government has approved a project to build the world's longest suspension bridge that will connect Sicily to the mainland. The proposed bridge spanning the Strait of Messina will have a 2-mile suspended span to withstand the strait's strong winds and currents. Engineers have designed the bridge with 2 1,310-foot tall steel towers, eliminating the need for a central tower in the sea. The bridge's suspended span would total 10,827 feet, beating the current record for the 1915 Çanakkale Bridge in Turkey, which opened in 2022. Italian government said the bridge would be a security asset, which allows it to categorize the project as military expense and count it towards its NATO spending commitments. It will include a rail connection, allow Italy to mobilize its armed forces more quickly. Okay, because Sicily's in danger of being invaded. Not since the Nazis has that been the case. Well, Switzerland is disappointed. Their president came to the United States to negotiate a deal to lower the 39% tariff, and they're leaving empty-handed. The Swiss delegation returns from the U.S. empty-handed. Switzerland will continue talks to the U.S., its president said today, after President Trump placed crippling import tariffs on Swiss goods. 39% import levy amongst the highest of any under Trump's global trade reset took effect midnight. That was just a few hours ago, 13 hours ago. Tariffs are set to throttle small alpine nations' access to the U.S., a leading export market for Swatch. Yep, indeed. But it won't affect Breitling. Joseph Malema still has plenty of money to buy Breitlings. Trump orders the U.S. Census to exclude illegal immigrants. The president says the count will draw on the 2024 election data and rely on modern-day facts. President Trump said on Thursday he's instructed the Department of Commerce to begin work on a new and highly accurate census that would exclude individuals who are in the United States illegally. In a statement posted to Truth Social, Trump said the new population count will be based on modern-day facts and figures. People who are in our country illegally will not be counted in the census. He wrote with the announcement setting up a possible legal fight over how population data is gathered and used for federal funding and congressional representation. And you can rest assured the Democrats will oppose this because the Constitution requires that a census be enumerated every 10 years at a minimum. It doesn't say you can't do it other times. And that has been the basis for determining representation by congressional districts. What we have are millions of illegals living in New York, living in California, and they are counted so that those states get more representatives. It's wrong, and it must end. It must end. Trump tariffs reorder world trade. The hardest hit countries are rushing to respond. With President Trump's sweeping new tariffs now firmly in place, foreign leaders around the world scrambled on Thursday to sort through an early political fallout, contain any economic damage, and try to convince Washington to ease the brinkmanship. It's not going to happen. Trump is serious. There's no taco here. Move on. Trump is pressuring Intel CEO to resign. President demands follow Senator Tom Cotton's national security warning about the Intel CEO's links to firms tied to China's military. President Trump on Thursday called for the immediate resignation of Intel Chief Executive Officer Lip-Bu Tan. It's an American company, and it's run by a guy named Lip-Bu Tan, echoing growing Republican concerns about the executive's alleged ties to Chinese firms linked to the Communist Party and the People's Liberation Army. The CEO of Intel is highly conflicted and must resign immediately. There is no other solution to this problem. Thank you for your attention. Wow. Epoch Times reached out to Intel, and they have not responded. Tan served as CEO of Cadence from 2009 to 2021, overlapping with the violations that took place there. Justice Department says Cadence will pay more than $140 million in penalties and forfeitures for their actions in support of the People's Liberation Army in violation of U.S. law. And he was the CEO. And now he's the CEO of Intel? No. Whatever happened to people like Andy Grove, the Hungarian immigrant? Bank of England has cut rates after a tight vote. The central bank faces similar tasks to the U.S. Federal Reserve in addressing inflation. But we have no inflation. It's almost gone. UK central bank lowered its key rate to 4% from 4.25%, having made the first cut in a series since August 2024, when rates were at 5.25. So the Bank of England has lowered its lending rate, but Jerome Powell refuses to do so in America. Trump administration orders that new census exclude undocumented immigrants. They're not undocumented immigrants, New York Times. They're criminal alien invaders. Get it right. Get it right. President Trump said on Thursday that he told the Commerce Department to begin work on a new census that does not include people in the United States illegally. Cool. The FBI is forcing out 2 agents after Kash Patel purged staff members. Interesting. The Fort Stewart shooting took place, and the media, of course, have nothing to say about this one. All 5 victims are in stable condition and expected to recover, but 3 of them underwent surgery on Wednesday. United States Army Sergeant opened fire at Fort Stewart Hunter Army Airfield. Which was it? Fort Stewart Hunter Army Airfield. They're not contiguous. They're separated. Law enforcement responded to reports of possible shooting in the area, and the 2nd Armored Brigade combat team at 10:56 in the morning, and by 11:30 he was in custody. There's Fort Stewart near the coast of Georgia. What do we know? Well, this guy here, who clearly is not abiding by his shaving profile because you're not allowed to look like that in the Army, used a privately owned weapon to shoot these people. He had a workplace dispute. Now, this was a genuine workplace dispute. Not like the racist Islamicist Major Hassan who murdered soldiers at Fort Hood under the Obama regime, which called it a workplace shooting. Kind of like South African authorities lying about the nature of the crime. Yep. China-linked company wants U.S. land. Despite Trump's vow to the contrary, the White House is ready to ink a pact. So Trump is angry about China getting land in the U.S., but he's going to give them a mine. President Trump vowed to combat Chinese control of U.S. land and minerals, yet the administration is pursuing a deal to open up federal land in Arizona to a mining company that has links to China. Under the deal, Resolution Copper would take control of Oak Flat, a 2,200-acre area in the Tonto National Forest near Superior, Arizona, in exchange for private lands in the U.S. owned by the foreign mining giant. Resolution Copper would then turn Oak Flat into a giant copper mine, which the Trump administration says could supply as much as 1/4 of U.S. demand for copper. The deal does raise national security alarms. Resolution Copper is a venture between Rio Tinto and BHP. Rio Tinto's largest shareholder is Chinalco, a Chinese state-owned company that owns 15% of Rio Tinto. So there you go. So Chinese are going to have a foothold in our copper market. Well, the U.S. government has cut off funding to the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, Bruins. $584 million for failing to tackle anti-Semitism on campus. The federal government suspended $584 million worth of grants to the University of California, Los Angeles. Chancellor Julio Frank said in a statement. If these funds remain suspended, it will be devastating for UCLA. The funding cancellation affects departments that rely on grants like the National Institutes of Health and National Science Foundation, Department of Energy. The suspension of these funds is not only a loss of our researchers who rely on critical grants, it's a loss for Americans across the nation whose work, health, and future depend on our groundbreaking research and scholarship. And I say, good. 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 You Jew haters letting this stuff happen on your campus, you're no better than racist. You allow this to happen on campus, you do nothing to protect Jewish students, you deserve what you get. You don't deserve my tax dollars. U.S. trading partners are racing to secure exemptions. Yeah, they're trying to get exemptions. Look at that cargo ship from above being pushed by 2 tugs and kicking up all that mud in the port. U.S. trading partners are lobbying the White House for exemptions. Good luck with that. Looking for further clarity on some of the tariffs that seem a little bit vague. And I understand it's a little bit confusing to follow these. Meanwhile, President Trump is looking to change the nature of 401k retirement plans. He wants to sign an executive order opening way for alternative assets. I assume things like crypto. U.S. President Trump is expected to sign an executive order today that aims to allow private equity, real estate, cryptocurrency, and other alternative assets to be in your 401k. The order smooths the way for private equity and fund managers to tap into trillions of dollars in American retirement savings. There you go. That's interesting. Could be very profitable for folks. Senator Cornyn from Texas says the FBI will help find the Texas lawmakers who cowardly fled from the states. The senator said the federal agency had agreed to help locate Democratic state lawmakers who left the state to try to block a vote on new congressional districts. The activation of federal agents could create a standoff between the Trump administration and state leaders in Illinois, where many of the cowards fled to. It was not clear on Thursday morning whether federal agents had actually taken action on this case. Well, record U.S. honeybee losses and what might be behind them. The varroa mite. Bee colonies in the U.S. are being decimated by mites that developed immunity to a key pesticide. In arid South Texas, home to mesquite and cacti, it hasn't been uncommon for commercial beekeeper Robert Wheeler to lose half his bees every year. But this year has been far worse. His family-owned Frio Country Farms lost 2,000 of its 3,000 beehives this year, many of which would have been pollinating crops such as watermelon and almonds had they lived. And he's not alone. American bees are dying at an alarming rate as scientists try to figure out why. The main suspect is the deadly varroa mite, a vampiric parasite that carries viruses and has become immune to amitraz, the primary pesticide used to kill it. Wheeler, a commercial beekeeper since 2019, said he's one of many in this trade who've relied on amitraz to keep his colonies healthy. Some big beekeepers are hurting pretty bad right now because it takes a lot of money to run a big bee operation. Viruses spread by the varroa mite, a devastating parasite that pierces the bodies of bees to drink their blood and nutrients, are the chief suspects. Scientists examined mites from collapsed colonies across western states and showing signs of resistance to amitraz. The miticide resistance was found in virtually all collective varroa. Agency stated commercial beekeepers lost 1.7 million colonies, amounting to more than 60% loss from summer 2024 through January. The economic impact is estimated at $600 million. Experts warn that without immediate intervention, the ripple effects could drive up costs for farmers, disrupt food production, and shutter many commercial beekeeping operations. Here are the beekeepers. In Texas, the beekeeping has undergone a renaissance since 2012 law that grants property tax breaks for landowners who keep bees on at least 5 acres. Conservative estimate put the number of Texas beekeepers at 6,000, including backyard beekeepers, sideliners, and medium-sized beekeepers. Here's an entomologist, Garrett Slater, trying to say that we can say that they can artificially inseminate bees at Texas A&M. That's interesting. 80% loss. It's really hard to take the 20% to make up for the 80% loss. That's true. Slater's job, which was created at the university last year, will support beekeepers promote good practices across the state. He's also starting Texas' first bee breeding center, one of a handful in the country. The goal is to breed queens and produce bees that destroy varroa mites within a colony. Yeah, but varroa mite can't explain all the problems. These bloodthirsty mites are nasty little bastards. It's like having a plate-sized parasite on your chest if you're a bee. And there you can see the mites on that hive tool. Lots of bees, man. Lots of bees. They're trying to breed better bees. Good luck with that, guys. As a beekeeper, as an apiist, this is near and dear to my heart. And that is the news today, folks. We've still got 800 people here, 754 likes. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't done it already. It doesn't cost anything but a moment of your time.
That was easy.
Yep. Phoenix, I don't know. I'm pissed that this is strong now, as Chris and I predicted. Well, we thought it could go to 25 to 1. I don't know if we predicted it. Did we really predict it? 20% says, what was she drinking? 76% of people said that I am the towering figure in the community. All right, well, thank you for that poll. I've closed it now. 20% said, what was she drinking? Well, that was my response, was what was she drinking? Very kind of you, 76% said that. 5% said no. Okay, so, folks, we found trolls. Now, you're not a troll if you said that. You're welcome, Ibrahim Stain. If I build a beehive, would bees just move in? Yeah. Well, you got to have a queen, otherwise the colony's not going to be there. Yes, but a queen shows up. You get swarms, and they're looking for new homes that can occupy your beehive. Yep, they do it. The bees will build a hive anywhere, in a tree trunk, on an overhang of. They do it. It's crazy. 4 hives on 6 acres. I'm highly allergic, but try not to bother them. Oh, I'm not allergic. I love bees. Asking for a friend, can these mites be let loose? These South African bee laws, yeah, it doesn't work that way. They are parasites. That's right. Bees are good, but they can also be a pain in the butt when they get in your roof. Yeah, that's just getting at. They'll build a hive anywhere they find suitable. If he's the true face ANC, we're not worried. It's his total ignoramus. Grant Mulders. He is the true face, and we covered a lot of him at the beginning of this broadcast. Jerome will cut rates in September. Let's see if he does, Bitcoin Boot. Wonder what our population would be if illegals were included in our census. Well, I think the 63 million actually includes about 6 million illegal aliens in South Africa. Yes, Wild Balance, I know they've talked about building that bridge for about 3 or 4 decades, and they haven't built it. So we'll see if they actually make it happen in Sicily. Got a call from Kenny today. They confirmed our case was handed over from PM. They had our contact details, waiting for email with details and interviews Monday. Fantastic, Zenfei. Congratulations for you. What do I got here? I was late, but I think the Colonel is an important figure for the Refugee program. I found the Colonel due to the Refugee program. Details stayed for the true news and his DJ skills. Thank you, Jake Overly Thinker. Yeah, you like the DJ skills. Oh, we're having fun with the DJ stuff. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, all right. U.S. is financing the Angolan hydro project to supply electricity to DRC mines, rail infrastructure. Angola. Yep, that's right. We are. And that was a big project. That was started under the Biden administration, actually. So there's America Ford pickup vehicles. They look stunning. Oh, they are. Pretty amazing. There's a major Ford dealership not far from me. Huge one. Insurance security for companies or execs always suggest company directors do not travel in the same planes. Exactly. For military, you never put all your leaders on one plane. That's just dumb. First off, it makes it a target for if you have a conflict going on. Second, comes to accidents, not a wise idea. Yep. So there was a major in the U.S. Army who was a foreign area officer who's a few years ahead of me. He was based in Nigeria, and his boss was Suan Sandusky, who is, in many people's eyes, a legend in the foreign area officer community. I don't understand why. She's a decent person, but never understood why she was a legend. Anyway, Suan Sandusky and Joe Hayden went to Germany for a conference, for a security cooperation conference, which is something I did every year. This is a couple years before I went over there. And, well, actually, just right before I went over there. So they returned to Nigeria, and they're based in Abuja, not in Lagos. So the commercial flight didn't fly to Abuja, it flew to Lagos. She went to Stuttgart to talk to the European Command about some issues. She had to talk to them for consultations. He went back. He got on that Bell airplane flight, Bell Airlines, or whatever it was called, and that plane took off in less than a minute into flight, crashed the ground completely. Everyone was obliterated. The only thing they found from him was a dog tag to identify him. And so he died, Joe Hayden. There's a room dedicated to him at the J5 in Stuttgart in U.S. Africa Command, Joe Hayden, who died in the line of duty. So Ann Sandusky came back later on a different flight. So this is why you don't put, because there was the two leaders. He was a major, she was a full colonel then, I think. They were the leaders of the Security Cooperation Program, the Attaché Program, and you don't put them on the same flight. That was wise. Darlene, hey, thanks for the info. We appreciate it. You're welcome. Thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate super chats. I drive a Datsun. They still have Datsuns. Datsun is Toyota. You know that, right? I think that's what they are. Datsun I think Datsun became Toyota, didn't it? Let me just double check on that. We used to have Datsuns in America. Oh, Nissan. Nissan, sorry. Not Toyota, Nissan. That's what it was. Yep. Nissan. Launched in 1931. They relaunched in 2013, but they disappeared. Yep. So worldwide from 1931 to 1986, India 2014 to 2022, Indonesia 2014 to 2020, Russia 2014 to 2020, and South Africa 2014 to 2022. Yep. Datsun. Yep. The use of the name Datsun American market derives from the name Nissan used for its production cars. Yep, exactly. Yeah, Nissan, not Toyota. I said Toyota was Nissan owned them. Yep. Namibia's government now realizing they gave too much to their Chinese partners. Yeah, well, they're not going to get it from me. All right, what am I missing here in the chat? No, Nissan. Yeah, I corrected myself. I said Nissan. Still Japanese. Yep. It's just me as a racism strong in public eye lately since Trump exposed the ANC. Yeah, no, you're right, Lindy. It's true. My mom and dad, myself, got our email today and our phone call. Congratulations, Matthew Schaefer. Love this show. Watch every day. Thank you, Lucille Pasos. Appreciate that. I'm also allergic. Last time I got stung, went to ER. Gosh, they wrote bitten by bee. Bitten by bee. Being stung is not the same as being bitten. Ronnie Lamola, the statement of intent is clear. Foreign policy based on human rights, constitution of the national interest, solidarity, peace, resolution, conflict. Huh? All right, let's look at that. At Ronnie Lamola. Okay, X is not loading. It's very slow. I noticed that with, what was it earlier today? It was the New York Times was slow. It wouldn't load. Dr. Maloof Posty says, Palestinian Islamic preacher from Gaza, virgins of paradise will have no menstruation, saliva, mucus, urine, or excrement. Every Muslim man will be given the sexual strength of 100 men and have several wives and slaves. Yeah, why is this all about sex in the afterlife for them? They're sick people who believe that nonsense. Okay. Ronald Lamola. Let's see what he posted here. 21 minutes. What statement of intent? Let's see what he's talking about. Let's see what Ronnie Lamola is talking about.
The statement of intent is clear of what we must do on foreign affairs. There's no confusion. And that is what we're doing. The DA has signed what we are supposed to do. Agenda 2063, Human Rights Outlook, non-aligned and all. And we're doing it. So the issue he is raising that there is someone who is bulldozing, implementing things that are not agreed upon. And he even gives wrong examples about the things that are being implemented that are not being agreed upon. And one of those wrong examples is this issue of the Bella and the NHI that the president has signed. NHI and Bella were passed by the previous parliament. They have got nothing to do with the GNU. Zero. Parliament passed them in the previous term. They were in the table of the president. The president had to follow the internal processes in the presidency, which is to check whether the bill is constitutional or not constitutional. It's not a subject of the GNU. It's wrong that Rian is bringing it to the GNU. The foreign policy position of the South African government was never a dispute, even when we agreed and signed on the statement of intent. The foreign policy is covered in the statement of intent. I'm saying even if it was not covered, the statement of intent does not supersede the Constitution. The powers that the president have.
President doesn't have to sign it.
Foreign policy, to appoint and to champion the South Africa's foreign policy, which we are currently doing, informed by the various legislations I've already mentioned, which includes the statement of intent, and I will argue that it covers what we're doing.
This guy's a fool of the highest order. Yeah, he's talking out his backside. It's not true that it has nothing to do with...
the statement of intent is...
Yeah, okay, I can't listen to that again. Freaking Twitter does its thing where it just starts running the thing again. You got to get out of the tab, otherwise it just keeps reloading it. Yeah, so, no, he's just lying. The president's under no obligation to sign legislation. There's a recourse for the legislature. It just shows, when he says it has nothing to do with the GNU, that's wrong. They're partners, and they can have influence, but they have no influence. The DA is co-opted. It is pacified. It is neutered and pacified, and is a junior partner of the ANC. Junior partner of the ANC. And they just need to admit that. Just need to admit it. Oh, if we do freedom of speech about the government, we'll be prosecuted. Exactly, Aretha. Yep. Said so much, but said nothing. Exactly. He's just a fool. The DA campaigned hard on Bella, NHI, and EWC. They did. And then they rolled over and took it because they're complicit. Yeah. Listen, for those of you who've given up on the DA, I appreciate that. But let me put this another way for the people who are disappointed with the DA. You hold the power. You hold the power. If you're a DA member and you still have interest in supporting the DA, you need to start speaking up. And all of you need to do it. I realize a lot of you abandoned the DA, and I don't blame you. But those who are still there, you need to get control of your party. You need to wrest control from the clowns that are running it. No, he doesn't know what's going on. Yep, not even a circus. Yeah, that's right. It's not even a circus. Right, folks. We're going to wrap up here shortly. Be sure to hit the like button. What about, let's see what we can play here very quickly. Play music before we go out of here. We'll talk about, we got the Sanctions State of Mind. That makes sense. And we got Pala Pala Nights. Let's play the Sanctions State of Mind. Okay, why is that not highlighted? I thought this was highlighted. This was the good one, I thought. Sanctions State of Mind.
The dust rolls heavy down a broken street. Promises scatter like the chaff and wheat. The sun burns hotter on this land we claim, but the ground is cracking beneath the name. Bring on the sanctions, let the fire rage. We're dancing wild on a shrinking stage. We won't bow down, no, we won't concede. But who's gonna plan what the people need? Feels like barren, the wells run dry. A child asks why, but there's no reply. Leaders speak bold with their heads held high, while the echoes of hunger don't lie. Bring on the sanctions, let the fire But the roots grow thin, the fruit turns sour, and time's a thief in the midnight hour. Flags still wave, but they're tattered and torn. A nation waits for a brighter morn. The dream we chase now feels far away, as the cracks grow deeper every day.
Sanctions State of Mind. By the way, those two songs I made last night that did show up after all. I don't know what happened. They kicked them out. Here's two that I didn't hear last night. So let me get a quick listen to this. This one's called Bring On the Sanctions. That's the first one. Last night, you may recall, I had a hiccup when I was making the songs and they didn't show up. So here's another one. All right, that's going to have to wait till later. That's dragging. I've got to run to a meeting. So I've got a physical meeting I have to go to, folks. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Be sure to hit the like button on your way out the door. We'll catch you later tonight for Night Owls. And then tomorrow we've got rugby, Saturday rugby, Sunday rugby. All right. And the week after we've got the Springboks coming up. So get ready for that. Never truly know how you've changed my outlook on life and my life as a whole. I think I salute you from the deepest. You're very, well, thank you, Maddie. It's very kind. All right, Garrett, say hello to the crew. Yep, and gosh, I wish I was at the Kapstadt Brauhaus. I could really go for one of those raspberry Weizens. I love that stuff, man. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Cheers. Be safe. Hit the like button. We haven't hit 1,000 yet. Bye-bye. Oh, by the way, watch my content. I did a short today. Go watch the short about the refugee program.